Is there a link between polycystic ovary syndrome and insulin resistance? Absolutely. Let's talk about it. PCOS, or polycystic ovary syndrome, is linked to insulin resistance. In fact, it is believed that insulin resistance in polycystic ovary syndrome is caused by the underlying mechanisms contributing to polycystic ovary syndrome. First of all, PCOS is a condition where women do not produce the proper amount of sex hormones. The problem lies in their ovaries, in a type of cell called Theca cells. Theca cells produce testosterone, which then gets converted into estrogen. Unfortunately, in polycystic ovary syndrome, Theca cells produce an excess amount of testosterone, and Theca cells become insulin resistant. Plus, too much testosterone in a woman can actually induce insulin resistance, increasing the amount of LDL, or bad cholesterol, that a woman creates, as well as increasing the risk of fatty liver and weight gain, particularly in her belly. Insulin resistance is a condition in which your cells no longer allow insulin to lock in. Insulin's job is to escort glucose into your cells to be converted into energy, except not just glucose, but water, amino acids, and fatty acids are allowed into your cell too when insulin locks into those receptor sites. Insulin resistance means very little nourishment can get into your cells, leading to cellular malnutrition and dehydration. Yet insulin resistance is a protective measure in the sense that when there is too much insulin and sugar floating around, then tissues that cannot grow, like heart cells, become resistant to insulin. These cells have no way to store the extra glucose. They can only use it for energy, so they become insulin resistant. But your adipose or fat cells do not become insulin resistant. So the extra sugar, which is converted by your liver into triglycerides, gets stored into those fat cells. If you live in a harsh environment and there's not enough food, you better be able to store that extra body fat and live off it for the winter. So if you're hibernating like a bear, insulin resistance is a survival adaptation. But in today's modern society, with food available to the majority of us all year long, insulin resistance is considered a disease and not an adaptation. Insulin resistance is much more common in polycystic ovary syndrome. In fact, it's one of the hallmarks of polycystic ovary syndrome. And it's important that insulin resistance is addressed to help reverse the hormonal imbalance in PCOS. If you have any questions about PCOS or insulin resistance, why don't you join me in our Hormone Support Group? You'll get access through our free Hormone Reboot Training. It's not easy living with polycystic ovary syndrome and insulin resistance, and there are ways to deal with both. I have videos available for you on how to treat polycystic ovary syndrome and insulin resistance naturally. I'll see you in the next video.